Well, welcome back to another episode of Tattoos and Toddlers podcast. I am Jen, your host with the most, the wedding photographer who is weird, and I am here to embrace everything parenting, business, and tattoo stories. And today I have a very special guest. We are already talking ahead of time. She showed me her kitty, and it's practically a little toddler. So, Paige, welcome to the podcast. Please introduce yourself briefly.
Thank you so much for having me. So my name is Paige Mejia. I have a professional firework company called Pyrotex. We are actually the oldest Texas-based professional firework company, and it started in 1979. Our first client was actually the Bee Gees, which is fun. And now we just do a whole bunch of weddings, weddings, corporate events, theatrical productions, really anything someone wants to blow up. The only show I have not done is a divorce. So if anyone wants a fireworks show for a divorce party, we can do that. So I do have the small little toddler kitten running around. You can hear my teenager and my lab in the background making noise as well. So sorry about that. But yes, so I am the mom of two kids. I actually married my high school sweetheart, and we have two teenagers, a rising junior and a rising senior.
Oh my goodness.
Sad. And we have 13 critters running around. So
yes, you have a house full.
Yes, they range from 4 weeks. She's about four or 5 weeks old is the kitten. To I think our oldest cat is about 16. So yes, so I have got the house full, definitely. So
no, I love that. I love that because you're the perfect example of, oh my gosh, how much time do you have to delegate to all of these critters and children and the business and blowing up stuff, stuff like that. This is so great. I'm so glad you had the time to come on today, because this is what this talk is about, is like how we compartmentalize and integrate parenting, caretaking, and business ownership and the hours that we put in for all of the above. And so we were briefly talking about that. And I kind of wanted to also share, just for all the moms and parents out there listening, like when we talk about reheating the coffee, this is legitimately what I did today, even though it was fresh coffee. And then I kicked my table as I was setting up for this talk today and spilled my coffee all over the table. And luckily I had a paper towel right here. So just letting you know that my headspace is all about the parenting today, because my daughter was just begging me to stay home. And I had this mom guilt moment where I was like, should I let her stay home? Should I do this? Should I do that? So Paige, being that you have so much going on in your home, what is some key things that have happened to you over the years that maybe you've had this like mom guilt creep up on you, and you wanted to do the thing, but you felt a little too guilty to do it, or maybe you just overcame it? I would really be curious to know, since your kids are older, but it's still there, like the compartmentalized time.
Yeah, so I actually, when my children were born, I was in corporate America. So I was dealing with that. My son, I actually stayed home for the full 3 months that they give you here in the US, and get paid for it or not. And stayed home with both of them for 3 months. So my son went to daycare at 3 months old, and of course that's the ultimate mom guilt. That first day, that first week is super hard. Second kid, not so much so difficult. She actually stayed home with my aunt, who had moved here a little bit after she was born. So she stayed home with my aunt for a couple of months, and then I actually quit corporate America and was a stay-at-home mommy for a little while. And then I sent her to preschool just for the educational and socialization factor when she was 18 months. And we changed my son to a Montessori. And so at 3. So she changed in. My kids are 18 months apart. So
yeah, they're close.
Yeah, little surprise. Our second one was a little great surprise. So of course you have everything growing up. Luckily I did have a built-in system, not only my husband, but also my aunt, and my parents that are here in town that could watch them, at the drop of a hat, or be the taxi mom if we needed it. So I actually started in the industry when Johanna was a year old. And I was doing just kind of a stay-at-home mom side gig where I was making video montages. So the photo collage that people show at their reception, rehearsal, dinner. I was doing it for funerals, that kind of thing. And that's how I started in the industry. And when Johanna was going to kindergarten, I decided that was the time to go back and get a jobby job. I went to corporate America. Sorry, my cat wants milk and my son's getting cereal, so the cat knows.
That's perfect.
I'm sorry. This is why I do these things in my bedroom instead of in the living room. So this is just all raw. It's all
this is unedited and unfiltered. This is why I have these talks, is because real life happens every single day, and I'm here for it.
So I went back to corporate America, or went to interview with corporate America. And they said it's Monday through Friday, 8 to 5. You can't take off for anything. And I was like, well, I have kids. Like, who would work for you? who would do that? And I realized I just wasn't going to have the flexibility that I had been used to the past 4 or 5 years of being a stay-at-home mom. So I started asking around the industry. Randy Beckham, who was the original founder of Pyrotex, was actually on the board of directors for one of the associations with me. And he offered to hire me on as his salesperson. So I started with him in 2011 when Johanna went to kindergarten. And but then after that, I mean, the kids have after school activities, but in the events industry, I mean, it's a 24/7 job. We're either networking at night, or we have weddings or corporate events, or, you know, whatever. So again, luckily I had that backup system. And I have the flexibility of picking them up at 3 o'clock, or going to their plays that happen in the middle of the day, or their sporting events or whatever. So it's I mean, this is probably the best industry to raise kids. I mean, it's kind of a good or bad trade-off, but they see it as, Johanna used to always ask me if I was going to another wedding when I was going to a networking event. And then it's funny because she just thought everything was weddings.
Yeah.
When she was little. And she did have basically a super sweet 16 party for her 4th birthday, because she wanted a DJ with boys and girls.
Oh my God.
She was a little too enthralled in the events industry. But then whenever she got a little bit older, like in her, you know, double digits, teen years, she would say, "Oh, you're going out drinking with your friends again."
Oh no, she started to like really
It wasn't weddings anymore. It was just drinking with my friends. I was like, yes, or you could call it work. So there's that kind of mom guilt. But next week I have mom and wife guilt. I'm actually going out of town. I'm going to Round Rock for a corporate event on Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday.
Oh wow.
And I'm driving straight from Round Rock to San Antonio, where I'm speaking at the ILEA National Conference on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday.
So that's like a week.
Yes. And I am missing the last first day of school for my son. I don't know if he cares all that much, but I do. I also have to spend the next 2 days painting a parking spot, because he only has me for 2 more days before his parking spot is supposed to be painted. And then my husband's birthday is on Thursday, so I'm missing my husband's birthday as well. So
all the guilt,
all sorts of guilt going on right now.
But I love it, and I think we can both agree that, and this is what makes the guilt kind of worth it, is that we know we're doing things that are impactful. We're doing things we're passionate about. And I do like to think of guilt as kind of like a flag of something you might need to address in your relationships. But I also don't think it should rule your life. You know, it's like, it's okay to, like, for me, this morning, I was like, should I keep her at home? Because I only have a couple more days and she's going to go to school and the days are going to be long. And so I was running through everything through my head. Like, so it helped me kind of overcome the guilt a little bit, but that doesn't mean that I'm not trying to still find a solution for how can I spend more time with my kid before life shifts again. Like for us, right? Like the school schedules start again. You know, this is only my 2nd year in. I'm like not looking forward to 6:30 a.m.
Right. Well, and just in our industry too, they get so much I'd say culture, experience, education, because they do go with us, especially when they get older. I mean, we have to take them to events for whatever reason, like open house, obviously not working. It's not, bring your kid to work day. But for open houses or for style shoots or for, just trips. I mean, if we're going to go to a conference and we want to take our family on the trip to the conference, we can. So it's great that it affords them that opportunity. But also, I have roped my children into the event industry. My son is, about to turn 18, which is super scary that he's about to turn 18. But he is a lifeguard for the city of Allen for his jobby job. But I have pimped him out, for lack of a better word, to birthday parties for swim, people that need lifeguards for like their birthday parties or mitzvahs or even adult parties that they just don't want the drunk people falling in the pool. So he has
and that's a legitimate need. Yeah. That's awesome though. Like I think about, I haven't even gotten her in a swim lesson yet.
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's a very much needed profession in general. Like it's like, and that's like the perfect age too, where you're just young enough to you're energetic and able, and then you have this knowledge behind you on how to do the job. And I'm just like, that's amazing, because when I was 18, my first job was like some restaurant.
Yeah. Oh, I was an IHOP at 14.
I was a salad bar runner, and that was the closest thing I could get to not talk to people. That was my ideal job, is just don't talk to people, fill the salad bar, do my job, and then not have to do any customer service at all, which is funny.
Oh no, we had a blast at IHOP because it was all teenagers that were working there.
Oh my gosh.
He's been doing that. He's also working every once in a while for Say Cheese 360 photo booth, which is owned by one of my friends. And so he's been working those events as well. He actually just was with me for the NACE National Conference, which was here in Dallas last week. Mm-hmm. So he worked the photo booth while I was having fun with my friends. And then Johanna is actually starting photography. So she started just kind of on a whim. They asked her what extra classes she wanted when we changed to public school. We were in private school for a long time. And they said, you have electives. What do you want to do? And she was like, well, photography sounds fun. So she went into photography the first year. Actually did not like her photography teacher, so I figured she'd drop out. But she's in yearbook now, loves it.
Yearbook is great.
Yes. And she has worked quite a few events. She's worked a rehearsal dinner. She's worked a house receptions. She worked a NACE meeting the other day.
That's cute.
So she's getting into the industry as well. So it's kind of funny that they're kind of a little bit following in the footsteps. So
I feel like this is an important point to make. Like I see this all the time with parents and whatever industries they're in. To give you an example, my cousin is was a passionate soccer player and soccer fan. Like we're talking about, traditional American soccer, whatever you want to call it.
Right. The football.
But I was going to say football. And I'm sure the true soccer folks know how to use all the lingo. But I mean, she and her husband clearly love soccer. So to me, it was no surprise to see them encouraging their kids into soccer. Zach and I are not sports at all.
No.
So between the engineering and the creativity, the art world, she's definitely more inclined into the art world and just being super creative, which I love because I don't have to push her to do it. She's encouraged wherever she's at to do artwork and draw. And when I tell her to give gifts to people, I actually just say, why don't you just make a drawing for somebody, make an art piece for somebody? Because I have found that art really, brightens people's lives. It makes them smile. She hand delivered a little note to her teacher last night, her church teacher. Just this cute little drawing. And she says, I wanted to give it to the teacher who wrote me these really sweet notes. And I was like, how sweet is that? Yeah. Just these little bits of artistic kindness going out into the world. So I'm much like you, I'm sure you were interested to see how your kids would evolve and what they might be interested in their futures. I'm kind of interested to see what Miracle's going to get into. I have no idea.
Well, and they might change on a whim. I mean, my
You
son,
never know.
some odd reason, wanted to be a mailman when he was little.
Oh, that's
Something
cute.
about the car driving on the wrong side that he just was enthralled with. But he was going to be a therapist. He was looking at colleges for psychology, still kind of
Ooh.
is. But now since he's been a lifeguard, he's really interested in becoming an EMT or fire.
Oh my goodness. That's
So
awesome.
yeah, so we actually just took a tour of the fire academy the other day so he could kind of compare college to fire academy. And he's really still very interested in it. I went in and I was like, oh, there's no way I would ever do this. I mean, little bitty holes that you have to crawl through, and it's hot and fire. And, I mean, I obviously pyro, we blow
It's
stuff up.
different. It's different. You're not
It's
doing it in
different.
tiny
Yeah,
spaces.
this was heights and climbing up a building that's on fire. And no.
Well, I think
I
it's,
would not do
yeah,
that.
I think it's really great because, like you were saying, they're exposed to a lot of ideas and opportunities when you work in the events industry in general. All of these events have some kind of a theme or a topic or a celebration, and then you have the other things in this world that people can go be a part of, and they just get, when that thing finds them, I think that's what's great. And I love that your daughter is like kind of playing around with the idea of photography, but I also loved yearbook. That was like the next closest thing to anything artistic in high school for me, besides art class. I had a blast designing in yearbook when I was younger. Definitely, I think I did at least 2 or 3 years in a row because I just loved it. And then, I can look at the yearbooks now. They're so cheesy from the 90s, it's like,
No, theirs was really cool actually this year. And I truthfully don't know how they did it or how it wasn't like ridiculous expensive, but
yeah.
they allowed all the kids to pick their own photo for the front cover. So you could do a montage. My daughter did a montage of all of her friends.
Oh,
My son just did
wow.
a picture of him swimming because he's on swim team. But yeah, the front cover had a unique picture. You could pick the regular picture, like there was a lion or whatever. But yeah, if you wanted something special, you could basically customize your own yearbook. So I thought that was
And here's what blew my mind, Paige. Yesterday, you're going to laugh at this too. I thought to myself, oh my God, like my high school bestie, her daughter is a senior this year. She's going into her senior year, right? And I said, oh yeah, ha ha ha, 30 years ago, I was a senior. I was right. I am 47.
Yeah.
30 years ago, I was 17, graduating high school. And I'm sitting here like, I just totally realized it's been 30 years since I
Yes.
was a senior in high school. It is crazy amazing how much I remember. And it's
Mhm.
crazy amazing that I still know some of the people from my high school, being that I didn't grow up in Texas. You know what I mean? So it's like, I get to see her like not this weekend, but the next weekend I'm doing the senior photos for, and talk about doing a family trip.
That's fun.
I told Zach, I said, why don't we just do a family trip up to Oklahoma? We'll make it a fun thing, and be doing photos because I mean, her daughter is amazing, like this sports, but also like super smart and heady, and she's gonna get into this. No telling what this girl's gonna do. She's gonna change the world. But it's like I get to be up there to kind of celebrate and be with my bestie from high school, who's like having that again, like your mom moment of like, oh my God, my baby's a senior. Holy crap.
It's
Where
a
has the time
lot.
gone?
Yeah, and you get two holy craps because it's not only are they a
Back to back.
senior and you're crying and it's the whole thing and they're gonna believe you eventually, but then you're like, oh, I have to fill out applications and we've got to do FAFSA forms and we've got to do, I mean, we got a checklist the other day that was like a mile long
Oh my
of things we're
gosh.
supposed to do this year. So it's like you're crying, but then you're also overwhelmed. So
Yeah.
we'll see
I,
how that works out this year. So I'm kind of leaning towards that fire academy because that's a little might be a little bit easier on the
and it is so different. Like,
parents.
I went to, aerospace academy. It's just so different when you find something you're interested in, and then you're able to like actually go look at options to get the education and the experience. I think it's pretty cool. And things have obviously different. They've changed over the, again, 30 years ago.
Yes, I know. I was class of 96, so I've got a couple more years, but yes, 30 years. And actually, my co-presenter for next week at ILEA, she graduated the year above me. And we were both at Newman Smith High School.
Oh, how cute.
So yeah, it'll be a little high school reunion for us next week. She's down in
That
the
is
Austin
so
area,
cool.
so it'll be fun.
That is so cool. And so as we're starting to like start wrapping up the conversation just a little bit. Is there anything that we should cover as far as a tattoo story? Because I believe you told me there was a tattoo story that I had to hear about regarding your husband's tattoo, though, right?
So I am terrified of needles, and I know that people say it's not like shots, it's like someone coloring on you or
Scraping
whatever.
your skin, more like it.
Yeah, it's still a shot, people. I'm not gonna do it. So y'all are lucky I have my ears pierced once. That's all you get. And the ear piercing was an ordeal. I actually ended up having my ears pierced 3 times because they kept either getting infected or they fell out in the pool or something happened, and the people were like, we have to pierce it again. So I actually have 2 holes in this ear because they kept piercing it in the wrong spot. Anyway, so my husband does have a tattoo of his fraternity. He actually wants to get more tattoos. He has all of these grandiose ideas, and his sister is basically covered in them. So he just hasn't taken the plunge to go out and get them. But we went in college, and I'm sure we were at a frat party of some sort. And so I was a little inebriated. I had a little too much to partake in the beverages category that evening. And we went to Deep Ellum because back then that's where you went to get tattooed.
Absolutely. You still can go there to do that here.
Yeah, I want to say it was Tigger's. And so we went to the tattoo parlor, and he was definitely drunker than I was. So, and I also knew the Greek letters better than he did, even though it was his fraternity. I was in a sorority, and I could recite well, I think I can only get about halfway through the sorority Greek alphabet song.
Yeah.
But I knew all of the letters. So we told the guy it's Phi Kappa Sigma. And so we, picked out, because the guy was also clueless. He was like, I don't know any Greek letters.
He's like, I don't know. I can't help you.
It's that one, that one, that one. And I know I picked out the right letters. So he got the letters, and he put the little sticker, whatever,
stencil on,
and he just told us, look at this and make sure it's like even, like it's in the right spot, it's not crooked, whatever. So we are looking at it to make sure that it is not crooked. We're not looking at it to make sure it's the right letters. So my husband got the tattoo, and his fraternity again is Phi Kappa Sigma, and he got Phi Kappa Epsilon. So he had to look it up, make sure it wasn't some like cult fraternity or something that he had just tattooed on his arm.
Oh my gosh.
He did have, actually his best friend had a friend that was doing the laser tattoo removal when it first came out. This was again 25 years ago. And so he did have a couple of treatments to get the middle part of the E taken out so he could redo it with the actual Sigma. And then he never redid it. So he still has the E, just the middle part's kind of lighter.
That is so funny.
Yeah. So it's kind of a good little, story for around the watering hole or whatever. But,
that is funny.
Yeah, that's our tattoo story. But he's had some great ideas about like little drawings that the kids have done that he's actually kept from when they were little, to put those on. He'll do them eventually. He does want the Hecho in Mexico tag possibly on his foot. Here's the ferret.
Oh, hello.
Noodles. She's annoying.
So he's got all these great ideas for his future.
They'll get on his body, I'm sure, eventually, but so far not so much.
So when you were in, because this is like, have you ever been to a tattoo studio since, even just to watch somebody else get one done?
I have not. My daughter does want to get a tattoo, and I'm actually supportive. We did tell her she has to be 18.
Yeah.
She keeps doing the whole, but if y'all write a note, I can get it now. But she used to come home from St. Rita every day, and this was like for a good couple of years. She would draw like a heartbeat
Yeah.
like the line and then the little up and down and then a line. And she would draw it right here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I told her when she gets a tattoo, that is the first one I want her to get, because literally we would wash it off every day when she would come
Aw.
home. And then the next day she would draw it right back on her wrist. So we do have the rules of no facial piercings. Because actually little Caesar almost ripped out my sister-in-law's eyebrow ring when he was a baby.
Oh my goodness.
So no facial piercings and nothing that can't be covered. Just because I actually worked as a detention officer for 3.5 years. And so I know the importance of, if you like want to be a police officer, if you want to be in the FBI, if you want to be, a fireman, any of those kind of jobs, your tattoos are going to have to be covered because you can't be identified. So that's kind of our role, is it has to be something that can be covered at some point. So I figured a wristwatch will cover her.
I think that's a legitimate thing to think about. I mean, that's, up until recently, all of my tattoos were hidden. So, I mean, all of my tattoos are technically not visible, whatever, I'm always wearing clothing. But I got one more visible because, I've got the pink hair. I'm in the creative industry. Right. I can do whatever I want. But yeah, I can see that being something like when you're so young and you're trying to figure out where you want to go, who you want to be and what you want to do. A tattoo could actually like hinder you from doing certain professions. And it's not because it's trying to be exclusive, but in some ways, like you just said, to prevent identity. Yeah. Especially if you want to go in something like that, like super high up, like, the FBI and all that stuff. That's pretty cool, though, to think about that.
Yeah, I'm all
when you're young.
I'm pro tattoo and hair and everything. My daughter's hair is actually your color.
Yeah.
Underneath. So she has the brown hair on top and she has the underlayer as hot pink. Oh, yes. Paige. She ran away. She just runs. That's all she does. She's
very cute, though. I saw her face.
But yes, so we are all about the dyed hair. I've actually been pondering doing the fire ombre, where it like starts really dark burgundy and goes into yellow. I've been pondering that for a few years.
Yeah, you look like the Phoenix from X-Men or something.
I am all about the customization. But yeah, that was just a really big thing in the police department was, if you're identified for whatever reason, then, that could harm you.
Yeah.
You see the stuff on TV and it's in real life too,
Yeah, there are some things that do mirror reality and fantasy. There are some things. That's why I love like pop culture and movies and TVs, because even though it is an escape from reality, there is a touch of reality and fantasy, I feel like, in some, and it always prompts conversation no matter what. Like we either love or hate something, or we have discussions about it and all that stuff. So as we wrap up today, I know I have to like say goodbye soon. These podcasts are only so long, and I wanted to thank Paige for coming out today. I know we've both got pretty busy schedules and we just kind of snuck this in today, and I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you for being flexible.
Absolutely. I'm so glad that we do have professions where we can be flexible and we're working around our own meetings. And like I said, my husband's probably going to head out to the office. So I was like, I'm juggling my office and then also juggling the kid who decided she wanted pizza for breakfast. That's just a reality.
My husband used to eat pizza and orange juice. It was the nastiest thing, but that's what he lived on in high school and college. I was like, that's so gross, but that was his breakfast every morning. It was cold pizza and orange juice.
Oh my gosh, those were the days. Well, if there's anything else we want to leave our listeners with today, let's leave them with one little nugget of inspiration or encouragement today. As far as the parenting and business ownership and working the jobs that we love as our passion, but also we're passionate about our families too. So what are we going to leave them with today, Paige?
So I guess my favorite quote as far as words of wisdom is always, you have the freedom of choice, not the freedom of consequence. Ooh. And that's a good one to teach your kids as well, especially in this day and age where, there's keyboard warriors and people out there that think that they can do whatever they want to do. And even in our industry, change things at the drop of a hat, people can have flexibility, but you just have to know that your choices are your choices, but they might have consequences later. So
absolutely.
just something to keep in mind and think about whenever you go about your daily activities, because we make choices. We make a million choices a day, from what cereal and or pizza and orange juice to eat in the morning to
It's true. It's true. You know what? I think that's the perfect thing to close this episode with. It is a reminder that every day we do have that freedom to choose in our lives where the things that can lead us to certain places. And so I hope that you all have a wonderful day today. Thank you again, Paige, for coming in today on Tattoos and Toddlers. And I look forward to the next episode. So stay tuned, y'all. Talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
You got it.